I don't know if this is going on right now, but I signed up to have ads on the podcast. So if you are listening to this and you're like, wait a second, Nicole is not sponsored by anybody. You're correct. I'm not. But I did sign up because I need a passive income. Today was one of those days where between paychecks, I had to buy new retainers for my Invisalign. And also then my dishwasher door decided to break, so I had to get that fixed. So that was an extra $200 I was not prepared to pay. So that's fun. So if you want to support me, go to my Ko-Fi account. You can find the link below, and we'll wait till the next paycheck because my company decided not to do raises this year or bonuses of a meaningful nature. But enough about me. Today's guest is a returning guest, Mary Seifert. She writes the Katie and Maverick series. She's on book 10, and we talk about that because she has her first book in the series was published in 2022, and it is now 2025, and she's up to number 10 with several more in the pipeline. She is a Twins fan, so you'll notice the outfit, which is super fun. I wish I would have dressed up a little. Me, on the other hand, I'm wearing my dress from BJ's because I'm an adult and I buy my clothes at warehouse stores now. But before we jump into the podcast, we're going to do some things I'm obsessed with. First, I went to the Brockton Rocks baseball game on Friday and had a great time. It was Friday, which was July 4th. Had a great time. Got to watch. They lost, but I still had a great time. It was nice to get out of the house for a little bit. 2 weeks ago, or no, it wasn't even 2 weeks ago. It was a week ago. I went to the Red Sox game at Fenway because I wanted to get this lovely jersey. It's a Celtics Red Sox jersey with David Ortiz's name on the back. So I made a special journey. It was also a 1:30 game, so that was always nice. And got to see good friend of the program, Peggy Shaw, and her concession stand. She's at a stand now where you have to show your ID to get in the line. It's so fancy. So she's living the best life. She went to the Savannah Bananas last night, or she didn't go, she was working, but she was there for that whole rigmarole. And so took the Green Line in from Newton, and it was about a half an hour ride, a little bit of a walk, but it was also very hot. But I also didn't know. I thought I was just going to get the jersey, but it was also on-field photo day, and I guess anybody's invited to that. So I got in line, and I met a friend from Toronto, and we did the photos together. So there's a bunch of... I mainly got all the pictures because by the time we were out on the field, it was 1,000 degrees, give or take. And I almost passed out, so I had to leave before Jaron Duran came by. So hopefully Hindia got a picture with Jaron. I went in, and luckily I had brought a hand fan, so I was fanning myself like a crazy person. And then I got my souvenir Diet Coke, which was what I love, a souvenir cup of Diet Coke for $10. Spilled it at my seat. So it was a day. I had a day, but it was good to see. It was a bummer because the night before the Red Sox scored 15 runs, and then at my game, Walker Buehler decided he didn't know how to pitch and gave up probably 4 runs by the second inning. So obviously I left early because I'm an early leaver. But my dad and my brother down in DC are now at the Red Sox national game. They were there yesterday. They're there today, and of course the Red Sox are on the verge of sweeping the Nationals, and they got all the runs that I didn't get to see. So lucky them. And they get to see Garrett Crochet, so that's always nice. You get to see the ace. What else am I obsessed with? Not a lot, because life has been lifing. I'm obsessed with the fact that Captain loves tunnels. So I have 3 tunnels in my living room right now that she just runs around in all day. As I say in the podcast, she turns 1 on the 20th of July. So shout out to Donovan's Pet Sitting, her foster mom from before, and her current kitty babysitter when I do get to go out of town. Also, I've decided to really lean into my influencer status, and I bought myself a tripod. That's right. I can do stand-up podcast or TikTok videos now. I tried to do one the other day, and I hated it, so I did not post it. we'll see if that comes back around. But as of right now, I haven't really jumped into it yet to do. Um, so we'll see. I also talk about this with Mary, but one of my other new favorite things is on TikTok. Uh, People using the term boy zoo and boy aquarium to reference baseball and hockey. I just think that's fun. So you might hear me saying that more and more, that I went to go see the boy zoo, and that was a baseball game. So I know it's weird, but just bear with me, guys. It happens. Also, Tour de France started this week, or yesterday, really. So I've been watching that. I hate that it's on Peacock because I can't switch during commercials, which is what I like to do. I've also been watching Wimbledon because why not? Tennis. We got one American. He's a bit weird. Or no, we got two Americans. Ben Shelton, who I love. So I'm hoping he goes far. Taylor Fritz, I'm less excited about. But we'll see. Carlos Alcaraz is adorable, so he can win too, again, because he just wins all the time. What else? Those are my sports takes. I have no other sports coming up in the near future, so that means I have to get writing. I posted this on my socials this week, but it was kind of funny. I went to Barnes & Noble last week to see a couple friends who had a book signing. Michael Creaney of Abington and Bill Carter, who's been a guest on the program. And I was sitting down and a lady said, "Oh, you have such a calming aura influence." I was like, "Oh, thank you, blah, 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 blah." And she goes, and then I looked down and I had just written a death scene. So I don't know if death calms me down or murder, but it did that day. So just so you know, there's a body drop in book 4. So that's kind of what I'm doing now. And let's see, what else? The Red Sox are back at 500. We'll see if that... I think last podcast I was very down on the Red Sox because they were making me mad. But they've kind of had a little resurgence this week. Granted, they've been playing pretty awful teams. So let's see if that can continue. The Yankees are on a skid too. So that's kind of nice that we're peaking at the right time and the Yankees aren't. But we'll see. But without further ado... and I know I'm very manic today. I apologize. Mary Seifert and her 10th book in her series, Airplanes, Atlanta, and an Assassin. Take a listen and let me know if you have any questions. It's fine. Okay. Welcome back, Mary, to Baseball Books and Banter. When she signed on, I was like, oh, crap. Now I'm underdressed. I didn't wear any of my Red Sox gear today, but that's okay. I've been listening to Twins games when the Red Sox don't play. I like to spice up what I'm listening to at night to go to sleep. So, it's fun.
They play at the end of July, the Red Sox.
In Minnesota?
They play.
Are you going to go to any games?
Maybe now.
I know. Well, all of a sudden the Red Sox decided to be good again. So it's kind of nice.
Funny because the Twins have about the same record.
Yeah.
Detroit is really good.
So good. I was listening to Detroit last night because there's just I don't know why, they just kind of seem like a fun team, but they're really good. Not to get you guys nervous, but but anyway.
Yeah. My son-in-law's a Detroit fan, so I gotta
cheer for them. My dad and my brother at the Nationals Red Sox game. They were there yesterday. They're going to be there today. So if you happen to be watching the game and looking out in the left field, you might see them. I don't know. Yeah. I looked for him yesterday, didn't see him, but what are you going to do? But this is your return journey to Baseball Books and Banter, which is so exciting.
Thank you so much.
And as I was doing my pre-show prep, because I'm a professional,
award-winning.
Oh, true. It's true. No big. I'm like, as we were just talking to, for those on YouTube, stop looking at my bald spot. It's just gray hair. Because I keep looking at it. That's distracting me. Your gray hair is pretty though. I love it long. Anyway, but Mary's back. And like I said, doing my pre-show, you released 2 books already this year. How?
I'm wordy.
Yeah.
No,
But
I am having a wonderful time. I'm having fun, and as I'm writing one story, I have a notepad on the next no, and I keep writing the part of the next story so that I don't get them confused. So I finish one and then do the other. But I'm having so much fun, and it took a long time to get it going,
yeah,
so I got it all built up.
yeah, I gotcha. And so we're on number 10 of the
Yes,
Kate and Maverick series: Airplanes, Atlanta, and an Assassin.
that's it.
I'm guessing it's set in Georgia.
It is. Well, yeah, part of it
Or
is.
parts of it, yeah. And I know Atlanta is a hub for Delta. Is that sort of kind of the inspiration? Just hearing all of the.
A little bit, but more. I had visited North Carolina, and I have some friends that love the Nantahala National Forest.
Okay.
So that plays a small part. Um, Airlines in general play a small part. Of course, it starts in Minneapolis, but Katie, my teacher, friend, and protagonist, has students that she's taking to a national conference, a national competition in Atlanta.
Ah.
And for some reason, planes get filled up in on the Memorial Day weekend,
What?
and so she has to separate from her students and send them off with some of the other chaperones. And so the bad things that happen on the airplane don't happen to the kids; they only happen
Oh,
to
okay.
Katie. But they do end up in Atlanta together, and they do end up at Truist Park. They
Ah.
do end up at a Twins game,
Oh, weird.
and the Twins win.
I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but I think we talked about it last time. And for those on the YouTube, you will see that Mary is a big Twins fan. So because she dressed up for this. And I, on the other hand, I'm like, it's 1,000 degrees out. I am not putting any more clothes on than I have to. That sounds weird when I say it out loud, but it's very warm for me. I am not a hot person. I don't like the heat. So what kind of so as you said, did you take a research trip to Atlanta to
I
test
did.
this out? Okay.
A fabulous trip. I was there for 2 days. The first day we put on 20,000 steps. We started downtown with Margaret Mitchell's house. We walked through the Olympic Village, and
Mhm.
then we went to the Coke Museum. Then we turned around and went to the Westin on Peachtree and rode up the elevator that is glass encased on the
Mhm.
outside of the building. And I didn't realize until we got to the part where you couldn't return to Earth that the person that was riding up with me was from Heights.
Oh no.
Watch me.
Yeah, right. Don't look out.
And the view was
Oh,
spectacular.
I
So
bet.
we do a little bit of view sightseeing from above the city. She'd lived there for quite a number of years, so she had lots of things to tell
Oh,
me.
nice.
We also made a trip to the county courthouse because we have part of the mock trial happening at the courthouse. So I got to view the courthouse, see where it was, see how far the walk was. So we had a lot of on foot traffic kind of research. And then part of the book also goes to a Michelin restaurant. And in Minnesota today, there aren't any because we're kind of off the beaten track. So people that do the Michelin stars don't come to Minnesota and find the fabulous food places that we have.
Right.
So I went to a Michelin restaurant while I was in
Wow.
Atlanta. They have a number of choices, and that was kind of fun. And I also got to ride the public transportation to the airport, and it was just a whirlwind trip with lots of things that I could use.
Yeah.
Plus to Truist Park, which was absolutely fabulous. They had a wonderful tour guide who did this every day,
Yeah.
5 times a day, and that was exciting.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of ballpark tours. Like even if you don't go to a game, like I've been on the Fenway tour like 4 times, just because it's great to walk the A when nobody's there, you
Yeah.
kind of feel a little bit because when you're at a game, I was just at a game on Sunday to get my Red Sox Celtics jersey, and there's just so many people that you don't get a chance to like look at some of the nooks and crannies that you would love to look at. And so and the people that do the tours, I mean, they've been with the team forever. So highly recommend people taking ballpark tours whenever you go to a ballpark, even if you don't go to a game. Although I haven't been to many ballpark tours, but Fenway was pretty special. But I think the Atlanta one would be cool too because they put a lot of money into that
They did.
ballpark.
I think it's the second youngest. I
Yeah,
think the one that's built after that one right now. So that was it was fresh and new, and they had all kinds of
So the
mix and
person you traveled with, are they a writer too, or are they just
no, just a
okay?
real good friend. Yeah.
That's awesome. So she could give you kind of the southern tidbits that maybe from the Midwest, the Northeast, we might not know.
No,
Some of
yes.
the little sweet, sweet tea, the peach pies, the bless
And
your
every
hearts.
street is Peachtree something.
Yeah, the Peachtree State. Yeah. My brother was born in Athens, Georgia. Shout out to Brandon because there was a sub school or a supply officer school. That's where my dad went. So we were in Atlanta for probably, I was 2. So do I remember it? Not even a little bit. I remember we met Herschel Walker before he turned cuckoo because he was a big Georgia. Oh, no, we met Herschel Walker in Hawaii.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to tell you this right now, Mary. You picked a good day to come on the podcast because I have been losing my mind today. Like, I forgot my wallet in the car when I went to the grocery store, and then I went to Dunkin' Donuts, and I usually do mobile order, but I didn't this time. And so then I got to the window and I took my food and I almost left. And she was like, you have to pay. And I was like, oh, do I? And I was like, what are you talking about? Sorry, Captain's losing her mind. Yeah, so today's, and I got on the phone with my dad because he's going to the game, and he's like, well, good luck today. I was like, yeah, I might need it. But that's the new book in Atlanta. The book previous to that was about horse racing.
It was the Kentucky Derby.
Okay.
Yep. Juleps, Jockeys, and Justice.
I am so obsessed with all your alliterative titles. Like, I was just going through the list as I was looking at all the books again. I was like, God, they're so good. And I love it because you kind of know what you're going to get in the book, but without knowing the full story. Like, I'm so intrigued by the assassins in Atlanta. Like, I just want to know more about that. But yeah, so did you do research for the Kentucky Derby other than watching the Kentucky Derby, of course?
Not as much. I did not go myself. However, my mother-in-law lived in Tennessee for 2 years, and while she was there, she was enamored with the Kentucky Derby, and for 55 years she wanted to go.
Wow.
Finally, about 3 years before she passed away, my brother-in-law took her. They
Oh,
went. So I used my brother-in-law as research
yeah.
because he was actually there and partook of being in the boxes at the Kentucky Derby,
Yeah.
doing all the days events with his
Sprinkle
mother,
the mint
which was great.
juleps
And
with
she
the
made
hats.
that was her thing. Every
Oh,
May she made mint juleps. She'd bring them wherever she was. They were in her thermos.
I love that. First of all, good for her. Hey, if you're gonna do it, go big. Um, and obviously you've been doing this for 10 books now. Uh, how many more you got in you? Are you gonna keep going until the wheels fall off, or like?
I have a contract for 7 years, so I'm
Oh,
good until 2028, and 2 years is what they'd like to have happen.
sure.
Occasionally, I've had 3 that come out, so I still owe them to a year. But the stories are, I'm just having so
Yeah.
much fun, and they're so wonderful with working with me that it makes it all worthwhile. So
I love that you have that relationship with
yes,
the publisher. That I don't know why Captain. She
hi,
just
Kitty, Kitty,
she's turning 1 on the 20th. So
a kitty, a real kitty.
she's a baby with attitude. Are you done? No, you're not done. So I know we probably talked about this a lot last time you were on, but your publishing journey, let's talk about that again some more, because I think people who tune in love to hear, especially new listeners, and maybe the people who didn't see it on YouTube, because I don't think it was on YouTube when we did it last time. Yeah, having that relationship with a publisher, I think, is important. That it's hard to replicate.
Yeah, it's hard. It was a dream for a very long time. When I was in high school, I loved to write, but I never was thinking of being a writer. And I had such wonderful experiences in high school that I never decided for English or creative writing. I went math and music. Those were my
Right.
majors when I went to college. Um, but I wrote a short story and submitted to Good Housekeeping while I was in college, and I got my first of many rejections.
Sure, sure.
I wallpaper a room now, but that's okay.
Mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm.
continued to write a little bit. I went through a science fiction phase, and you realize you have to build an entire world in science fiction.
I love science fiction, reading it, because because it's one of those, it is the great unknown. Like, nobody knows, so they get to make everything up, and which is kind of fun. But I feel like I don't. I like a little bit more of the world that I know that I can write. But yes, so I agree with you. Yeah,
I like being there, but I don't like writing it. Yeah, that.
right.
So I did a little bit of that. Then I just continued to write. And this is very important part of this particular podcast because I was at a baseball game. It is a college baseball team in our hometown, and it was Wine and Women Night.
Oh,
And we were talking about what we did that day, and somebody said, "What'd you do today?" And I said, "I wrote a short story. I mean, I wrote a story."
yeah,
And they said, "Could I read it?" This is my friend, and she said, "Can I read it?" And I said, "No, you can't read it." And she said, "Why not?" And I said, "Because I didn't finish it." She said, "Finish it."
yeah.
So I did. And then I started to do the querying process,
Yeah.
which took a long time.
Well, back to more rejections.
Yeah, yep. It was about, and then also at that time, I was taking classes, deciding that I couldn't do it on my own
Yeah,
exactly the way I wanted to, so I could use some help. There's a Loft Literary Center in Minneapolis that is absolutely fabulous for writers. They have some online courses, they have some courses in-house, and I had some fabulous teachers that were helping to just even get that first line right,
sure.
the that you want to hook with. So that helped. And I kept sending out letters and I would get responses. I'd get a couple helpful hints on what would
Sure.
be better. And then in 2021 in November, I got a phone call from Columbine Publishing Group and they said, "We'd like to talk about
Yeah.
taking on your stories, but can you change the title? Can you change the character names? Can you drop 15,000 words?" Because my first books, I had three of them written at that time, and they were called Titanic Cocktail, Titanic Trial, and Titanic Tea. And if you put Titanic in the title, people automatically go
It's
to,
about the boat.
and they're not, they're
Yeah,
contemporary. So that was a great idea. The character names, I didn't realize that there were so many because I didn't read it out loud.
sure.
But I had a Kennedy, Keelan, Carney, Kenneth, Kelly. There were like six of them.
Yeah.
And they said that people can get confused. I went, "Oh, yeah."
No, I'm
Um,
with you. Yeah, because I had a lot of Billy's, Davis, David. I think some of them have just cemented themselves into the character. But yeah, no, I feel that, yeah, whenever, because once you write like a supporting character, you sometimes forget that like there's other people like the difference. Like I know a lot of Bills in my life, but yeah, when reading it, it can get a lot harder. So fair enough idea.
And the cutting 15,000 words, I had written a traditional mystery, I thought. And they said, "We really think that it is a cozy mystery."
Hmm.
And so it's basically too long.
Yeah. They're like, we love cozy, but not that much cozy.
There's too much, which was wonderful. They knew
Yeah.
what they were doing. They knew what they were talking about. So I was very, very fortunate. That's how I got my publisher, and that took me to 2022, which is when the first book, Maverick Movies and Murder, came out.
Not Titanic secrets.
No,
No.
however, it does have
It has a boat.
cover because it still has another
Theme.
Titanic movie in the story.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like you have to cut that's I'm not good with titles. So did they have you just come up with the title after they're like change it, or were they like, here's some ideas, think about it?
They did have some ideas. We shared some of the ideas.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll throw some out there and they'll say, "Well, that'll work. This would work better."
Okay.
Um, the Atlanta, the book, the current book, um, was going to skip the Anne assassin. And they
Okay.
said it skips more fluidly off your lips if we put the Anne. So I really like the addition that they were explaining why they wanted to do that.
Yeah.
It was going to be Airplanes, Atlanta, and Assassin. And it just was like,
Yeah, no, I like the and too.
yeah,
Now
it
that I
just,
think about it.
yeah, they could do
Wow.
that as a nice touch. So
Yeah. That's so great that they have that collaborative process and that they weren't like, we love the premise, but we hate everything else about it. Like they
yeah,
were like, we love everything about it, we just have some tweaks.
yeah,
And that they worked with you and not like, if you don't do this, we're done. And now here we are. So 2022 is the first one came out.
yes.
Here we are only 3 years later, and you're at number 10.
Yes.
Like, what? Did you ever think that that was going to be where you were at, or are you like the rest of us who are like slogging away? Like, I'm gonna put a book out a year, maybe if I'm lucky, or were you just as soon as you got those first three done, you're like, I got so much more, and I'm so ready to go?
I had 9 outlines.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Just
Yeah.
bare spoons of 9 stories, and I kind of knew where I wanted it to go. Fortunately, every once in a while, another idea presents itself while I'm writing the book, so I have
Yeah.
been able to slip in a few more. So I still have some of those ideas remaining, um, and I kind of know where they want to be. I know number 13 is going to be one of those that reveals something throughout the first 12. So I've
Okay.
been waiting for 13.
Oh my
Uh,
God. And when's that planned for? Like December,
I
because
have
you're so quick.
yeah. But I do have some of those ideas, kind of just the beginnings
Yeah.
of some of those ideas already written out, which was very helpful. Although I probably more of a hybrid
Mm.
pantser plotter kind of person. I do have some of those things in mind, so then I know where I'm going to be taking the stories.
Sure. Yeah, that was when I'm in the process of moving publishers, and before I signed with Level Best, they were like, "Oh, send me the 3 ideas for the next 3 books," and I was like, "Girl, I've literally just started writing book 4. Like, I don't even know where book 4 is going." And I like the idea of saying, "Hey, what would you do?" And it was just a paragraph for each book, and it's really helped kind of focus where I want to go, because I'm a pantser, pure pantser. I tried to plot book 3, did not work for me. Plotting, I had a whiteboard and I was like, here's where the action's going to happen. I was like, no, this is too much. I like to fly by the seat of my pants. But
Yes, I read 1 and 2, and I really like them. So your pantsing works.
okay, thank you, thank you. Um, you'll love book 3. I can't wait for book 3 to come out, but that's not until next September, so you have a long time to wait. But I'm very excited about it. I just had it re-edited. That's another hard word. Re-edited, whatever, for the new publisher to for next year. So hopefully we'll see what happens. And they're gonna re-release the first 2. So if you have the first 2 in the original covers, that means you have first editions. I'm calling.
I have Kindle.
Oh, even better. You got the Kindle versions, which are first edition Kindle versions, then, because they're going to be new and exciting. No changes, just exciting. But yeah, I don't know where we're going with that, but the plotting, like, I like the idea of somebody saying, if you were going to write more, what's the basic idea? And so, like, that helped me go, okay, I'm through book 6. The 6th book, it'll be a winter book, and it's going to be like a hockey game on the ball field. So it was kind of fun to think of that kind of stuff going forward. So I love that idea that you have kind of a basic thought of what's going on for the next bunch of books. um, Book 11, let's say, I know we're going to talk more about book 10, but book 11 tentative. What
Golf.
are you're already done with 11?
No, but it's about golf.
Oh, golf. I thought you said 12, and I was like, did we miss one?
Oh, golf.
Oh my God.
Golf.
Okay, golf. Okay,
Golf.
I'm going to ask the research. Do you golf?
I do not, but I have some friends that really do, and I have a son-in-law who really. I went to the Ryder's Cup because he was working the field.
Oh, fine.
So I said, "You're going to have to read this for me and make sure that
Yeah,
I'm not like lying about
you're my
everything."
golf beta reader.
Yes,
I
yes,
need you to do, because I'm with you. I love sports, but golf just gets away from me. I one of my so now that I've hit over 40, I've like, I'm gonna do these things that I've never done. One is I want to go back to I want to try horseback riding again, because when
oh,
I tried to do it as a Girl Scout, I cried because it was terrifying. So I'm
oh.
like, just want to do it one time, just to be like, cool, did it. I want to learn to ski, which, hello, I live in New England, I should be able to do that pretty easy, just never did it. And also I want to learn to golf, because I do mini golf and I've done top golf, which is just driving it.
Yes.
But now I kind of want to know what the middle part stuff. I feel like I'm going to get bored really easily, though, now that I'm thinking about it. Because I'm like, I could be reading for these 4 hours. I could be
You
watching.
will have stories on the golf course. Stories will come
That's
to
true.
the course.
There's, I think, in somewhere in Metro West Boston, there's a golf course that's like, it's a real golf course, but it also has like features like a mini golf course. So while you're playing, like, the green is a little bit, there's like extra things happening. I don't know. Don't quote me on that, people from Western or Metro West. I'm not 100% sure. Thought I saw it on a TikTok, which is where I get all my information from. So who knows?
Yep.
So golf, tentative release date?
I'm hoping by the end of this year or early next year.
Yeah, so that's kind of on brand for you, every 5 months ish, which is amazing, which I'm jealous.
I do not have a full-time job.
That's also nice. Again, jealous. Granted, I work from home. I can't complain too much. Like I sit on my couch all day with the cats, which by the way, Captain is now passed out sleeping. She ran around amok and now she's sitting on the couch next to me sleeping.
Here we go.
Because it's hot. Which distracts me because she's so cute. Captain's a girl, not a boy. They were like, we have a boy for you. And then they're like, surprise, she's a girl. And I was like, all right, well, we're keeping the name Captain Louise. Back to airplanes, Atlanta, and an assassin, which when I wrote my notes, I spelled assassin wrong like 4 times. And I was like, that's one of those hard words. I just can't get it. How does Maverick fit into the Atlanta?
That was a good one. So there is a forced landing, and the forced landing is in the National Forest.
Okay.
They lose Katie, and they call out the search and rescue canine that they know, which is Maverick.
Oh.
So he gets to fly. And if the readers do the earlier books,
Yeah.
Her best friend Jane belongs in Atlanta. That's where she grew up. And her dad owns a private air company.
Yep.
So he flew to Minnesota, picked up the puppy, and brought the puppy to. Yeah. So he is in Atlanta.
Good. Because otherwise that'd be like a whole different book.
No, yeah. He's got to be there. Otherwise it wouldn't be Katie and Maverick. So
yeah, right. It'd just be Katie.
Yep.
Which is fine because
it is, but he could be there. He could be there.
In a cozy, we love to have our little animal sidekicks.
Exactly.
And he gets to trip to the South. How very exciting. Does he get to go to Truist Park or just Katie?
Yeah, it's Katie.
No, once they find her, they're like, okay, let's move on. So back like to the research stuff. See, I'm telling you today, I'm all scatterbrained. I did laundry. I'm like all over the place.
I'm following perfectly.
So that's why today's interview is sponsored by caffeine. No, I don't have sponsors. With the research, so for that part of the airplanes, and then you said you went to the courthouse. What do you find? Do you, as a musician and former mathematician, do you like kind of that minutia of research to find? Yeah,
I do. I did talk to 4 pilots to make sure that what I was writing could happen.
Yeah.
And in the first draft, I had some very kind, nice, telling words. But for one who is a very old friend, and I knew I'd get the truth. And one of the lines that I had written in the book were between, one of the lines was between Katie and Jane. And Jane says, "Oh, this is not our day to die." And the pilot said, "Oh, yes, it was." This couldn't happen the way you wrote it,
right.
Because I used the internet as my original source. And as much as I think it made sense to me, it didn't make sense to a pilot. So I changed it, and I think I changed it so it was acceptable to that pilot. He just said that really wouldn't have happened that way. They would not have made it.
They would have not survived. And I like how when you were just talking about a forced landing, instead of saying they crashed.
Yeah, no.
Like, I mean, really, that's what it is. But I like that. Because if I heard the word forced landing, I'd be like, oh, that's not a bad thing. But if you hear crash, you say that's a bad thing. That's like,
correct.
Holy crap. I love that you had 4 pilots. I don't even know 1 pilot. So note to self, don't write any books. Find Mary's pilot friends and writing airplane stuff. And I love that you take that into consideration, because some authors would be like, the internet, that's it. What, that's my truth source and hope for the best. But I like that you take that extra time to talk to a pilot about the actual flying of a plane, or going to a courthouse to be like, yeah, it's a 10-minute walk from the hotel, or, they walk in through the front door, but there's a metal detector, blah, blah, blah. Like, I think that makes the books really grounded in reality, which sometimes cozies can tend to not be grounded in reality. Like, not all of us can live in a pretty island lighthouse and sell books for a living and do all that stuff. Do you find it, since you don't do the full-time job, do you find yourself writing more than you thought you would, or do
I
you?
think so. No,
Yeah.
I do. I get up in the morning, I start early, I get a cup of tea, I get a biscotti, I've got a dog at my feet, and I write. I try and write a chapter or a scene complete so that I can, figure out what comes next. And then I'll go back and reread it. So I usually work through early afternoon.
Oh wow. So almost like a
I've
full
got breaks, I've got the dog walk and things like that. But yeah, I do. I do probably 5 hours online.
So you say you don't work a full-time job, but that to me is a full-time job. I mean, that's,
But I could just walk away from it.
you could, but you don't, which means you're dedicated to the writing, which is pretty cool. Because I know, yeah, I don't know if I'd be that dedicated if I was lucky enough to retire at this age of my life. Netflix, if you're listening, or Hallmark, or anybody,
Yes.
we're gonna manifest.
Yes.
Are there any plans in your books to branch out and do some baseball stuff?
Ooh.
Because I know you're doing golf next. So
Yes. Well, I did have the baseball game in the
Yep.
Atlanta book, so I did touch on that. I don't play,
sure.
so I don't have a lot of that kind of experience. But all of the books so far have covered a month in Katie's life. So it was September, October, November.
Okay.
Julep's book was May. The Atlanta book is June. So as summer comes, we might very easily see more baseball.
Ooh, oh, I'm just saying. I mean, I'm a big fan. I just started working with I don't know if you know the couple behind cozymystery.com on Facebook and their website. I met them at Malice this year, and they're lovely. And the husband is part of SABR, the Society for American Baseball Researchers. And so we got baseball talking, and he's like, oh, I reached out to the Boston chapter and they're going to talk to you. And so then I started talking to that guy tonight. So if you have baseball questions, I know people other than myself who watches every G game. So I can get you some. That's not to say I research that heavily when I write my books. I did just go, we have a local team, I'm pointing, right next door in Brockton, and I went there on Friday for 4th of July because they were giving away free hats, and that's the kind of vibe, the small, park, the ballpark. It's also where I saw the Savannah Bananas 3 years ago before they blew up, and super cool. Do you know the Savannah Bananas?
They've done TikTok videos. I have seen.
Oh yeah, they were just in Fenway last night, and I was like, that's a lot of people in that park. I don't know if I could handle that many people watching a bunch of cute boys dance around. My other favorite thing, which I'm going to talk about in the intro, is on TikTok they call ballparks, you might appreciate this, the boy zoo, because it's like you're behind the gate, the net, and you're just watching boys run around. So it's the boy zoo, and hockey is the boy aquarium. And I love that. And I don't care if it's, no offense men, but I don't care that if it's demeaning, because I just love it. So I've been calling baseball the boy zoo since TikTok. So don't sell TikTok. Don't shut it off. I need it. But yeah, so if you do have baseball stuff, I got people.
All right.
Oh, I think, I don't know why, but I think it said we're down to our last 10. Oh yeah, there we go. 8 minutes left. So book recommendations. What you got for me?
I have, I liked, for a craft book.
Yes.
The Cat writes a novel. They talk about beats, and I didn't quite understand what that meant, but my niece is a screenwriter, and she was explaining beats to me when she was reading one of my books and helping me out and going, you got to solve this beat. You got to actually, I'm not even saying that right, but it was, so she recommended the book and I read, and I really thought it was helpful in organizing my thoughts. Because of my, topic, you read Practical Homicide Investigation, just in case I want to get some more things that are closer to the truth.
You never know.
For a cozy mystery, I just finished A Very Woodsy Murder.
Yes. Isn't it so good?
This was my first giveaway win. I just happened, they said, so I did this and I won it. It was like, this is so fun.
Ellen, have you read any of Ellen's other series?
Yes, I have. So I was reading
This one I really liked a lot. I think out of all the ones I've read, this one was one of my favorites because
Now 2 is coming out at the end of July.
yeah, it's on my list. Don't worry. So Ellen, shout out to Ellen.
Ellen. And then I just finished Ghost of Waikiki by Jennifer Morita. She's a fellow Guppy. It was really, really fun. And I got Minnesota authors too. So this Librarian by Ellen Eskins is really nice. There are a lot of Minnesota mystery authors. We're thinking that because winter's so long here.
Yeah, what else are you gonna do?
Stand that over there.
Sit in front of your fire, and that's probably why there's a lot of New England authors as well. It's the same thing.
Just inside, and you think of all those things that you'd like to do to,
and then you lose power, and then it's like, oh, it's dark out. There could be some murder. I find it funny. I was at Barnes and Noble visiting some friends who had a signing, and I was writing in the cafe like I do because that's where I get less distractions. And a lady sat down and she's like, "Oh, you have a really calming presence. Like you seem very compassionate and empathetic. Just your aura is so nice." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I looked down at what I had just written. I literally just dropped a body. Like I literally killed somebody. And she's like, "You're so kind." I was like, "Okay."
On paper, it's easy to be kind in real life if you get rid of all of your insecurities. And see.
Yeah, when you can kill your enemies fictionally, it's perfect. All people in my books are not based on real people, blah, 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 blah. What is the disclaimer? It's like any resemblance is purely coincidental. It's all fiction.
Purely coincidental, all fiction. However, I've been very fortunate to use names that people have allowed me to use. I had here for BoucherCon raffle one time, and it was really fun to work.
Oh, that's fun.
In this one, in the new one, in Airplanes, Atlanta, and an Assassin, I use some friends' names, and they don't know about it yet.
Oh my God!
I'm sending them a book, and I'm really excited because she said, "Please use any of all of the names of my family." So I used 4 of them in this one, and I thought,
which is another way to get around the naming block that you get when you're like, but I can't think of any other names besides Bill. Like I don't understand. I know. Like all of a sudden, I
was in at Deadwood 2 weeks ago, and they had a book event, and I was selling books, and this lovely couple came out, and they bought all 9 of the first 9. All 9. I was so excited, so I was talking a lot to them.
Yeah.
Excited, and her husband mentioned her name, and it was Joette, and I went, I have Joette. Joette's in book 8. So I whipped it out and I showed her because Joette is not a very common name.
I was going to say, I've never heard it.
It's even spelled this. It was really fun. So using names that are recommended or names that you have that, people have purchased.
I was going to say, I've done the same thing where when I was like at a craft fair and I say, oh, if you buy a book, you can put your name in the raffle to have a character named after you. And I still see the people I'm going to name in the 3rd book. Their mother put their name in, and I'm like, she's all over the 3rd book, and then she's going to be in the 4th book now too. And so she's like, when's it coming? I need to know. And I'm like, no, Mallory is heavily featured in the books, so just FYI. But I think that's so fun because then that makes them want to read it. But and it makes it like, oh, that's sort of, and I was like, she's probably nothing like your daughter, but this is her character, and she's a good character. She's not a bad person. Like she won't. Well, knock on wood, she won't have anything happen to her. Shouldn't say that, just in case.
No, happening yet.
Yeah, I gotta couch that. But this was super fun again. It went by so quick. And I was like, I could talk to you for days. You're gonna be at BoucherCon?
I am.
Okay, good luck in New Orleans. Is that gonna be part research too for a future book?
Oh, sure, absolutely, definitely. Maybe, yes.
Yeah, definitely, maybe, yes. Maybe you'll see Ellen. You'll probably see Ellen because she'll be down there, I'm sure.
They have a cozy evening, and I think she's there. So I am going.
I'll be going to BoucherCon next year when it's in DC because that's a little bit easier for me to get to.
Get to see you there.
I know, and hopefully you get to come to Malice or the New England Crime Bake, which I'm going to constantly flog because I am on that committee.
Okay.
But thank you again so much, Mary.
Thanks for having me.
And congratulations on books 9 and 10 in the past 3 months.
And congratulations to you. Good luck on 3 and 4.
Thank you. Oh my God, I'm so stressed. Mary is a forever guest. She can come on anytime she wants, every 3 months as she releases her books. I'm delighted to always have her. I loved her little outfit uniform. Minnesota Twins stuff. And as someone who has a mid team this year, it's nice to commiserate about that kind of stuff. I've recorded this once already, my outro, so I don't know what I said, but here's hoping I remember most of it. The Red Sox are in a rain delay right now, so my parents, my brother, and my dad are at the game right now, so hopefully they got out of the rain. And they almost caught a Trevor Story home run. Not really, it was like 2 sections over, but it was in the vicinity of where they were sitting. Okay, so what do we want to talk about now? Mary being awesome. The fact that I just got edits back for the 3rd book again from a editor I hired. Level Best Books is going to be releasing it next year, but I wanted to have another edit through before I send it to them. It's due in September, so I wanted to make sure I tidied everything up before I sent it to them as the final, and then I'll get edits back from them as well. So I'm going to work on those. I got my editor through readsy.com, which is a great website if you're looking for an editor, a book cover person, maps for yourself, or you can use my tutorial on Ko-Fi if you're looking to do a cozy map. And it's just I found one who works with Gemma Halliday Publishing, who friend of the program, Christine Knapp, is now with. So I knew that it was a cozy type person to do it. So I'm excited. We had a couple of video calls because I have the tendency to change dates in the middle of writing. So like it's a Wednesday, and then it's a Thursday, and then a Wednesday again. Luckily she got, or, hey, there's a game tonight. No, there's no game tonight. And she kind of found all those for me. So thank you, Jenny. And in regards to what I'm reading right now, because I've been kind of back and forth, I'm 15,000 words into book 4. So get slowly but surely plugging along with that. And books 1 and 2 will be reissued by Level Best, hopefully soon. So stay tuned for all that kind of stuff. I don't think I talked about this in my first part, and I think I talked about it in this one. For all those that voted for me in the Boss Best of South Shore for South Shore Home and Living or Home and Lifestyle, I did not win. I don't know what place I came in, not that it matters. But I didn't know I was even nominated for a month and a half. So if I had known, you guys would have been sick of me because I would have been spamming you all the time with requests for voting every day. But I always used to think it was crazy that people are like, oh, it's an honor to be nominated. But it really is, because I wasn't expecting it. I don't know who nominated me. Whoever it is, anywhere out there, I love you. You're my favorite person. I kind of think it might be the Cozy Cottage because I love them and I voted for them a gajillion times. They won their category, so they are Best on South Shore. They also just opened a new store in Plymouth on the waterfront that I went and checked out, and it is the cutest little cottage gift store you've ever seen. So make sure you go down there. It's right across the street from Cupcake Charlie's. So you go there, get some good crafts, go over there, get some cupcakes. Perfect. And it's near the public parking lot, so you're not having to hoof it from very far away. Also great restaurants. East Bay Grill is there. But on that note, hopefully this is staying recorded. Things I've been reading. All of my library holds came in like at the same time. So the first one was King of Ashes by S.A. Cosby. He is an amazing author, an amazing person. He's the warmest, friendliest guy who writes the sickest, craziest shit. This one involves a crematorium, so you can imagine what might the King of Ashes be. I'm not going to spoil it. I did not see the ending coming, but I'm intrigued. I actually really like the character. I can't say anymore because it'll spoil it. But definitely if you like a dark, southern, noirish thriller, gruesome, definitely check out all his books. To me, they're not what I usually read, but when I read them, they read like a movie. Like you watch it play in your head, so you don't want to put it down because you're like, well, what's the next episode? I need to watch it right now. I think some of his stuff, Razorblade Tears, I think is optioned already. Just check him out if you're a fan of even just great writing. S.A. Cosby books. Another one that I read was the Good Morning America book club book, The Compound. It was fine. I mean, people are doing yes, no, maybe book recommendations on TikTok. It'd be a solid maybe for me. The first half of the book was like social experiment. The second half of the book was like a thriller or a psychological suspense. It just didn't mesh well for me, and I didn't love the ending. So it was a quick read. And I mean, when I was reading it, it was fine. Don't know if I would enthusiastically recommend it, but if you just need something to read, check it out. Another serviceable mystery was, I think it's called Knave of Diamonds. It's Laurie King's latest in the Mary Russell and Sherlock Holmes series. I'm a fan of the series, so I'm a fan of the book, but it was your basic mystery. It's a solid maybe for me too. The other book, well, one of the book, I feel like I should stick with all my maybes now at one point. This was a book that I bought purely for the art, not bought, I checked out purely for the author. It's Alison Weir's The Cardinal, and it's the story of Thomas Wolsey, Father Thomas Wolsey, Cardinal Wolsey, for Tudor heads like me. He was kind of the spearhead of Henry leaving the church and all his stuff and things like that. Not my favorite person to read about. Henry VIII, not my favorite person to read about. She wrote all the books about the queens, which I loved, but yeah, it's fine. It's her book. I'm muddling through it. I'm about a third of the way through because I'm not a quitter, and I'm just kidding. I don't finish books all the time, but whatever. I'm committed now, so I'm gonna read it. He's still not likable. I still don't like him. I don't know if that's the whole point, but we'll see where it goes. He fell out of favor quickly with the king after his divorce and Anne Boleyn. I think after Anne Boleyn it was really when he... But anyway, sorry, I got distracted by the Red Sox and talking about Tudor history. But one that I do recommend is A Daughter's Guide of Mothers and Murders by Diane Freeman. It's a cozy historical series. It's the 8th in the series, and I just enjoy these. I love a good cozy, and this isn't set in Paris, which is always fun, with the actress Sarah Bernhardt, not Sandra Bernhardt, the comedian, who was obviously a big deal at the time. So I highly recommend this one, kind of about halfway through that. I also have the next book in the Botanist series coming up at the library, so once I finish these ones, I'll be heading there to get some more, and to see my friends, because I love my Abington library friends. But yeah, I have a lot on my Kindle too, but I'll talk about those next time. I got a whole bunch of interviews lined up for the next few weeks, so you're going to be prepared to be sick of me, as the kids say. And hopefully I'm less manic in my interviews. Like, I just have these days where so much is going on. So, on that note, happy reading.